are in you you do you ever see that video? Do you ever see that video? No. You know, I always thought but it was always for show. This is the funny thing, right? I'd always like get stuff. I'd pimp out my setup and make it look like I'm being productive. You know? Yeah. It's like I'll take a photo. It looks. Oh, I'm a businessman. Yeah. Yeah. Google Images, random graph. Yeah. Big boss, fucking fake gold watch there. You know, it's all for show, right? Because that's what you want to want.
And you do things that will make you happy. Be able to spend time with people that you love, but also have income to be able to support these things, man. You know what I mean? Like, so success shouldn't necessarily be private jets and cars. Those are very nice things. Definitely wouldn't say no if someone was offered to me if I was able to buy it. But that's not what it's all about, man. It shouldn't be your main task.
People want to be successful is to achieve what I talked about earlier, this end goal of happiness. But what they end up doing is sacrificing happiness for that success. You could have someone who, along this path to be successful, to be happy, ends up getting into some dodgy deals, ends up in prison along the way. You know, the whole time he was trying to get this life for himself, for his happiness, and now he's in prison, he's locked up. So like, you gotta line your core values.
Hello, what is up? And welcome to the I Talk Real Talk podcast. Right, okay. Hello, what is up? Welcome to the I Talk Real Talk podcast. My name is Leon Omari, and today I'm with my boy Miko. And just a disclaimer, as always, at the beginning and end of every single show that we do, you are now in the real world. And what do we do in the real world? We talk
real talk.
That's the one. Now today, just a disclaimer, literally, we're going to be passing around the talking stick, as you already know what this is. And today it's been, how long has it been since we last linked up, my man?
It's been a bit. We haven't even done much since the last episode, have we? I don't think so, no. It's been a while, yeah. So hopefully we've got lots to talk about. Lots of information.
Yeah, so basically, man, I was recently in Kenya, and it was an absolutely amazing time. If you follow me on social media, I don't really post on social media. Yeah, I'm cool like that. Anyways, it was great. And I came back with like such an amazing perspective shift, man. Like, dead serious. I feel very different. First, I think it's because the way I was talking to you about, like, it's the way I was talking there. So I had to talk a bit differently so that people can understand me when I'm there. Like, talk a bit slower, like really, I guess, sound out my words. And I guess just the way I carry myself there was different to the way that I carry myself here. And I feel I've come back with this not positive mindset, that sounds hella gay, but like
2023, positivity is gay. Quote Leon Omari. Hey,
gay, man. Nah, it's just the fact that I don't know, I went there with a different set of eyes, and I've come back with like a fresh pair of eyes. Where's your old ones? They're still here, but like they're different, you know what I mean? And that was a terrible joke. That joke. Yeah. But like, yeah, I just feel good. I feel great, man. But we'll start up with you. How have you been? You know, what you been at, man?
I've been good, man. I've been exploring my mind and just all the things that life has to offer when you're on this path of developing yourself and trying to achieve big things. All the ups and downs of like relationships, stressors in life, you know, basically all the stuff that I'm just trying to do. I've just been experiencing that, and it's been taking its toll mentally, but it's been good. You know, it's been good mental. Like, I've not been hitting like really low points where I hate my life. It's all been fatigue and low energy or low mood because of trying to do big things and by being positive all the time and working hard. So I guess I'm tired from that, but I'm good. I'm really good. Yeah, I'm sweet.
And one thing you just said there, like being low, trying to do big things, right? I just want to put a disclaimer out there to the people listening, is the fact that the reason you're on this podcast is you resonate with people like us, people who want to be high achievers. Doesn't mean you're some sort of like a multi-billionaire. I hope you do become that if we're able to do that. But the reason you're on the podcast is because you relate to us, you relate to what we talk about, you understand, I guess, or you don't really have many people who you can talk to about this stuff. So when you come onto the I Talk Real Talk podcast show, you are essentially being one of us, and we're a community, and we love to thrive, survive, and make sure we're pushing each other to the absolute limits. But in what what you're saying, man, about the I guess the pressures of like doing a lot of work and trying to become like successful and everything. Like recently, I just want to open up real quick is the fact that I told you this earlier as well, but like I tend to have this perfectionist or overthinking tendency. So I think I'm an overthinker, and I'm a perfectionist to some sort of form. You're an overthinker as well, yeah?
I think I'm an overthinker.
Nice, nice. Yeah, and so essentially, what I actually broke down like once or twice because I was at my mom's party, and there was a lot of us. It was her ex birthday. I can't really say her birthday, because women's age is very sacred. But basically, like I don't know, it was good to be back home, but at the same time, there was so many people, and I kept on looking around, and let's say you haven't seen this auntie for like a very long time, and they come up to you like, oh wow, you're so big, or how are you doing? What are you studying and everything? You haven't seen me in like 10 years, man. What are you talking about? And I understand the respect, and obviously respect to all the family members and everything, right? But that sort of like those encounters give me a bit of anxiety, and I think it's the very first time I've actually properly experienced like social anxiety. I was like, bro, there's no fucking way I can ever experience social anxiety.
Because I actually had that when it comes to relatives as well.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's like when I go back to these relatives, it's like I have to show them my accolades, or I'm like trying to be this kind of person. It's like when I go back to them, I want to have leveled up myself.
Yeah.
It's like I'm trying to be someone or be impressive. I'm trying to show off to them, which is strange. They're your family. You should just feel good with them, and not try to. So I've actually had a lot of anxiety going back to Donegal to visit my family recently. Just in the same reason. Like I got there and I felt like I had to put on this, not performance, but I was trying to be someone I wasn't, or I was trying to like show off myself how well I'm doing and this, that, and the other, which is a bit strange. It's like the break from not seeing them in like a year or two. It's like I have to have leveled up and this is what I've done. This is what I've done. I think that comes from like movies and stuff when you see a family get together. And everyone's like linking up, and then everyone's like, oh, you hear what Jeffrey's doing? Jeffrey's now fucking making all this money or whatever, and you kind of want them to talk about you like that, which is strange, because I want to go up and visit people to see them and to enjoy their company, not to
Stunt.
Yeah, not to stunt. It's weird, like, and I've actually the last time I went up there, I felt really off center. I wasn't present in the moment. Like I had a lot of anxiety. I actually just wanted to go home because I felt not myself, and it's strange. Like I hate going places and regressing into like bad mental health when I shouldn't be. And I think that comes from putting so much expectations on yourself. You're trying to be this kind of person, and then when you get there and you can't come across with as this all this kind of stuff you're trying to show off with, it's like, oh fuck, it's a reality check. I think that comes from like, let's say you're about to go on holidays and you fantasize about how good it's going to be, and then you get there, it's not really that good. It's such a big, the feeling. It's like such a, what's that called? When you like,
so where you put too much expectations.
Yeah.
When you actually get
don't have any expectations. Yeah. So
have no expectations, and you won't fucking be like, what's the word? You won't be disappointed.
Yeah.
Expect disappointment, and you won't be disappointed.
Yeah. So when you set your expectations way too high, the disappointment level is so much. But if you just go in there and like, oh, I don't know what it's going to be like. It could be shit. Could be great. Yeah. And you just go with the flow. It's such a better way of doing it. And I forgot that they probably can't hear if you don't have the mic.
Who can't hear if I don't have the mic?
You were talking there.
Oh yeah, you're good. Yeah. Like I fully agree with you, man. Like that whole pressure of like your family expect you to do what you already said it, man. I don't need to like repeat what you said. But and then so I don't know. So similar to you, right? I felt like I myself as a person, I was not doing enough, right? Like what the hell is enough, right? Are you meant to be, I don't know, making €1,000 per month off as a side hustle, and I don't know, going to all these places and showing people that you're doing well? And I felt I kind of took all these external factors of what success is and really put them heavy on myself. Except the difference is I didn't really want to do it for other people, but rather for myself. And this is where the perfectionism tendencies come to play. And I ended up like during the whole like rest of the day or rest of the evening, essentially, I didn't really want to be around people. And I just felt like this weird bubbling feeling inside of me. And I could feel like tears coming to my eyes, and I'm like, what the fuck am I crying for, man?
In the presence of everyone.
In the presence of everyone, yeah. And I had to get up and give a speech, which I actually enjoyed. Yeah, I had to give a speech, man. And I was asking, so how did you get to that age? Like they're 50, right? So it was my mom and her sister's birthday. I was like, how did you get to 50, man? Like, that's crazy. Because I'm trying to fathom what my next 5 years will be like. And they're already at 50. And I'm like, what does it feel like? What is it like? And then I had my cousins at the front. So I'm here. And then there's everyone, right? There's like 30, 40 people maybe. And then there's my cousins at the front. And they're all pissing themselves laughing at me, man, thinking I'm trying to make a joke. But I was actually being serious. How is it like to get to 50? You know what I mean? Or such an older age. Do you know what I mean? Like, you should be able to have a lot of experiences and be able to create something really good of yourself. And how does that feel? You know what I mean? Like, is there something weird to say?
Yeah, because if you look at like tribes back in the day, people would always respect their elders. Like, they'd have an elder of the tribe, and the oldest person would traditionally have the most wisdom because they've lived the longest and have gained the most. But you don't see that in like today's society at all. Like, old people are kind of like looked down on for being elderly and slow, and they're a burden, you know.
Yeah.
But it's wild. Like, yeah, like you got to 50 years old. Like, that's a lot of time on this earth. Like, I'm 24 now, and I've like the stuff I've learned the past few years is mad. So like that, imagine the experience you have when you get to 50. And what's fucking sad is the people who are 50 but have the immaturity of less than me and you. Think about that, right? You're 50, but you're still an 18-year-old. You're still doing the same shit you were doing when you were 18, or making the same mistakes, have the same like bad financial. You're bad with money. You know, you haven't improved at all. That's like my idea of hell. Like, imagine getting to that age and being the exact same. Like, what are you doing with your life that you have not leveled up at all? It's crazy. It is, yeah. And like that's why I think like it's so important for like self-development stuff, because the thought of being the same person at 50 and not improving on myself, or still making the same mistakes and not having any new wisdom that I can share with my kids or my grandkids is like bleak.
That's literally hell, like you said. And I think the fact is, I got a little snap in my head of what I think that is. It's us as people, as we get older, even though we look at ourselves, try to make ourselves look younger, girls try put on, like women try to put on makeup and dress younger and everything to feel younger. Even though we're literally, you can see us getting older, it's the fact that we're still trying to hold on to some element of our youth, no matter how old we get. It'll get to a time where we're like, screw all of this, man, I don't care anymore. But we're always trying to hold on to some element of being young. And we feel that if we lose that part of us, then we will actually be old and have to do all these old people things.
Yeah, this is the thing. People always like look down on aging. People are trying to get like the anti-wrinkle cream and dye their hair, you know, brown, even though they're going grey. Like you said, they're fighting the aging effects. They haven't come to grips with the fact that they're getting old, and they're just trying to feel like they're 20 again. But they're not. It's not like they're fighting it in a negative way. Yeah. So it's one thing to stay active and feel young, but you're denying the fact that you're getting older, and you're hating every minute of it, and you're trying to like not look at yourself and like, oh, yeah, I'm getting wrinkles, whatever. But aging is a privilege. The fact that you can grow old, you're very lucky. You weren't hit by a car. You didn't die from some freak accident. You didn't get seriously sick and die. You know, you've managed to live out your life. That is the blessing. So I think like if you get to a stage where you're dying from old age, that is unbelievable. You know, you should be really happy with that. And it comes back to like gratitude. Be grateful for what you have, and the fact that you are alive and you can see your kids and grandkids, and don't fight the fact that you're not 20 anymore, you know. But hey, I hope to be like still lifting weights and doing stuff into my 60s and 70s, 80s, 100%. Because like I've watched a few documentaries recently with like Chris Hemsworth, you know, Thor. Yes. He's one on Disney called Limitless, and it's about him. Basically, each episode he's trying to find a way to basically live longer, so boost his longevity. So one episode was about strength, so he was like developing different kind of strength and just getting stronger physically. Then there was like heat and cold, so like ice baths, and then saunas. One episode was fasting, so he like fasted for like 4 days. But basically there was a woman in that, and she talked about she had been diagnosed with cancer, and it was terminal, and she was literally in tears and envious of like the fact that you can grow old. And she wanted to grow old. Yeah, that's all she wanted, you know. And you think about that, you're like, oh, I don't want to get old. I kind of went off track of what I was going to say there, but I don't want to get old. But that's literally all she wants. She can't have it, you know. But what I was meant to say was, on that program, there was like 67-year-olds in doing like powerlifting meets in the program, like elderly people deadlifting like 100 kilos at like in their 80s. A woman like winning champion. Crazy. What? Yeah, deadlifting. Like it's mad. So you definitely can do it into your later ages. You just have to keep it up. It's like if you abuse it, you're going to lose it. Like if you don't use your body, you don't use your flexibility, you're going to lose it. So people think that like getting stiff and not being able to walk and having a stick and all that's just part of aging. It is in some regard. You know, you are going to get more stiff and everything, but if you look after your body and you keep up doing the things that are good for you, your body will last you a lot longer.
Yeah.
But people just think when they get old, oh, I need to stop moving. You know, they need to sit down more. You know, I'm old. You know, that you'll hear for loads of people. Go, I'm getting old now. Oh, I'm too old for that stuff. You know, oh, I was able to do that 20 years ago. Like, but if you definitely can. Proof of the fact, like that night, I think it was a 90-year-old woman, was like doing deadlift meets, powerlifting meets at 90 years of age, breaking world records, like in her in her category.
I saw that video.
So like your body is able. You just need to keep it up, I think.
And that links in beautifully to your own profession, man. You're what, a PT, man. Yeah, so you will get there, my man. So it's like simply what you're talking about, like you understand it purely, and so getting advice from someone who's reputable and knows what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these guys should listen to people like us. I feel the young people have a better understanding. Like I wanted to discuss this. I don't know if we discussed this. I think we discussed this with someone else. The wealth of information. So I feel a lot of young people, right? Now let's get maturity out of here. In terms of the wealth of information available to us, a lot of young people, let's just say from the ages of 18 to 30, right? Because 30 is still pretty freaking young. There's so much information out there for us to gather. We can get life experiences from people who are very old. We can get like tips, like do's and don'ts and all this stuff. We can absorb all of it. And then when it's our time for us to be able to be in that situation, we're well equipped with the information that we need. Now it's just up for us to decide whether we do this right thing or the wrong thing. If you do the wrong thing, you learn your own thing, and that's a new experience in its own, and you can talk about it. But if you do the right thing, I feel you can kind of like shortcut life, right? This is a bit controversial, but like when I say shortcut life, I don't mean like everything is so much freaking easier, but you can definitely be able to make wiser decisions based off the information that you can get and the people that you can get to mentor you. And if you're able to take such a direct approach, you know, make some your mistakes here and there, but if you're able to get like a direct approach and absorb as much as you can, they'll get to a point, and that's the point I feel I'm personally at, where I know a good chunk of things, right? Not to show off or anything, I just feel like I know a good chunk of things. All that is needed now is just for me to apply and learn myself. The execution phase, pretty much. Where was I leading with this, my man? That's a good question.
This is the problem this is the fucking problem, right? Because I'm already like spacing out here. When you pass the mic around, it gets so, and like I'm talking to the camera, it gets so like in a way artificial. Like it's like you're giving a speech. Let's just make it a conversation. And this is the problem when you don't have like your own mic, you know, and you got the camera. Like you gotta detach from it all and just have the conversations like we were having at the kitchen table there. So everybody forgot what you were talking about there, because I'm like, I'll be honest, I'm a lot more uncomfortable than I was in the last. Yeah.
Learning about a lot of stuff on the internet, like online.
Yeah, so you're trying to like get the bypass.
Well,
in a way, like you're trying to get from here to there as efficiently and optimally as possible. Yeah, which is how I live my life with everything, which is mentally exhausting in my opinion, if you let it get to you. So like every little decision I would make in my life, I would try and do it optimally. Let's use the gym for an example. So I watch a lot of self-improvement on YouTube, self-development, routines, productivity, positive habits, all that kind of stuff. And one guy, Andrew Huberman, have you heard of him?
I've heard of the name. I don't remember what
he's a neuroscientist, and he's like basically how your brain works and stuff. Yeah. So he was talking about like for sleep, how it's important to get like good sleep. And one of the tips he was given is like not to eat like 2 hours before bed. So I have that imprinted in my brain, and I'm like, okay, I gotta follow that. So when I hear a bit of advice from someone, it's like I'm looking for the answer. I don't know if anyone else like listen to this might feel like this, but it's like when you got problems in your life, you're just looking for the one solution that's gonna fix everything. That one productivity hack, or that one app, or that one whatever it is that's going to fix your life. So when I hear like tips from people, I'm like, oh, maybe this is it. Maybe not eating 2 hours before bed is finally going to fix my sleep, and I'm finally going to feel great. And basically, right? And they talked about it in what's the book? The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. It helps jog my memory. He talked about it in the movie, and he was talking about we seem to be looking for a solution or this kind of end goal in life that just gives us a life with no problems, that gives us this like, oh, I made it. And that's a load of shit. You know, there is no end goal. So there is no productivity hack or solution that's going to solve all my problems. So when this gets like a bit of a mentally exhausting for me is when I've got that tip, don't eat 2 hours before bed. But my other goal is to try and bulk up and put on size. So I'm like, it's 8 o'clock or it's 10 o'clock at night. I still have 1,000 calories to eat before I hit my calorie goal for the day. but I want to sleep in an hour and a half. So then I'm like, yeah, and that shit drives me insane. Like I'll lose sleep over it. I'll get stressed over like, what the fuck do I do? Yeah, because when you try and make every decision optimally, none of it is optimal. None of it's optimal because you're not living life and figuring out what works for you. Yeah, another thing is like routines, gym routines, morning routines. I'll get someone else's morning routine and I'll do it. And after, let's say, 3 weeks, I'm hating it. But I think that's the ideal way to live your life. That's the ultimate productivity morning routine. So I have to stick to it. But it just might not work for me. There might be loads of tips I hate in that. But I have to stick to that. That has to be, that's the way forward. That's the solution. But it's not for me. You should give something a go. So if you're ever going to like take a tip or a habit or someone else's life, the way they work or whatever it is, try it out for like 30 days and then give yourself like a result or a feedback at the end. What did I like? What didn't I like? Whatever you did like, keep. Whatever you don't like, scrap. And don't feel like you have to stick to it and that's the only way to live it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're okay.
I'm tired today, bro. This is taking it out of me. I'm not gonna lie.
You're good, my man. That's the meditation practices in this bitch, man.
I'm like, it's been a while since I've done like talking to a camera or like speaking, socializing. So it's like fucking, it's taking a lot out of me. So I just need to relax.
Good, man. You're good. There's no judgment here, man.
No, I know there's not.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you. I want this question just to stay in your mind real quick, as I'm about to finish the story I was on earlier. I remembered as you were talking as well. So what does your ideal life look like, right? Just think about that. And don't forget it. I'll remind you afterwards as well, because I think I've also kind of found what it is. And so back to the party. I never knew I could ever experience social anxiety, and so I did, as we're all human, right? And I ended up breaking down later that night and talking to my cousin. Her name's Joy, and we talked for about like an hour, and she was just telling me, like, I first talked, and then as I was talking, I felt really overwhelmed with all the pressures that I put on myself, become successful, make the podcast work. I don't even know if the podcast is going to work, man, but I'm enjoying every single second of me doing something that 1 year ago this month, I said I was going to start doing, and I was obviously got to give credit to the one who gave me, which is I put my trust in God. So I got that idea from my divine power. And then here I am a year later actually acting upon it. That's a whole beautiful process in its own. But amidst the time of me breaking down, I wasn't thinking about any of that. I was like, fuck, I haven't even planned my episodes, man. I haven't even planned my recording. I don't even know what I'm going to do about my guests. I don't know anything. I portray myself to be this big person or who's focused on everything, but look at me right now, I'm a fucking mess, crying and everything. The imposter syndrome. There's a fly in the room. He doesn't have autism. It's not clapping after.
It's been there for like 2 hours, bro.
I saw it there as well, man.
I was like, we need to get rid of that before we start this pod, and it's still floating around.
Still here, man. It's enjoying the conversation, man. That's our first fan. But like, it's okay. So, wait, what? But like amidst that, I didn't focus on any of the strengths that I have, and I just broke down, and then ended up seeing a clinical psychologist next week, who's actually one of my cousins. And one beautiful thing he taught me, and I watched him do that he also showed me how to do, was making a mind map. So if you're feeling very overstressed, this is a tip for you and a tip for the people who are watching. If you're ever feeling stressed, get a notebook or a journal, because I bought this big ass A4 thing I'm going to use for the podcast. I can show you in time. I can show you it's at home. I'll send you pictures. But let's say you're feeling overwhelmed, right? I would love to show it on this, but it's fine. You're feeling overwhelmed, right? Fuck, it's fine. So you're feeling overwhelmed. You write down the word overwhelmed on the book. You circle it, and then you record yourself talking, right? Because if you don't have someone to tell you about this, so you record yourself talking, and you rant. If it's until the point you start crying, just cry. But talk about it as much as you can. What you do is you listen to it, and as it's playing, I'm overwhelmed about success. Write down success. And then success because blah, 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 blah. Then jot down a few points as to why you're feeling stressed about the success. I'm really worried about this, my girlfriend or my partner, whatever. They're feeling me this. So you write down partner is one of the reasons as to why you're feeling overwhelmed. They feel like they're cheating on me. They're not being honest. So inconsistency, dishonesty, weird patterns and everything like that. That's another point. You keep on doing that. And then if another bubble comes up, so like overwhelmed can be one thing with like success, depression, whatever it is. relationships with people. You write down the people. You write down why you feel like doing that to you, and you do that, let's say, for like an hour or however long you have to give. And once you do that, you can now look at what your mind actually looks like on a piece of paper. It's simplified. Then you can see what sort of steps you need to take for the action. What sort of action steps you need to take in order to try combat what you are thinking about. Was it something you wanted to add on, or?
Like that's what everyone talks about when you've got a big goal in mind.
Yeah.
I want to run a successful podcast. On the pod, great influence. Go crazy. I've got some heroin here actually. One sec.
No.
If you've got a big goal, it can seem very overwhelming, like you just said. So the first step is to break it down into little, smaller pieces. And I think a lot of people, including myself, will like plan ahead. So you're always trying to plan ahead. I'm not going to start this process until I've got the roadmap laid out, until I've got the whole road paved. But there's so many variables along the way. Like there's so many things like self-doubt, insecurities, financial problems, health, relationships, all those things that happen along the road that are going to dictate where the path leads. So from point A, you can't plan the whole way to point Z. It's impossible. So what you need to do is, instead of using all your mental energy and focus and energy on the whole roadmap, is to just focus on how you can apply all that focus onto... Focus on how to apply the focus. Stop repeating yourself, you dumb fuck. Focus on how you can apply all your energy onto that first starting point of point A. So what is it? Let's say it's, I want to start a podcast. Or what's the first step? Or I need equipment. I need a phone that can record. Okay, so what? How do I get that? Oh, I have to save up money. All right, first step is to try and make more money. So it's like what you just said there about breaking it all up. The whole thing can seem like such a big ordeal, overwhelming.
From your own life to now your goal.
Yeah, and as soon as you break it down, you've got an action step. Because thinking is just mental masturbation. It is. It is. Right, yeah.
I like that.
You're just jerking off your fucking hemoglobin, whatever that is in your brain, your two hemispheres. So
That's a good one.
yeah, you're just mentally masturbating yourself on like how am I gonna get there the whole time, you know? I'm just doing this. I'm gonna think about all this stuff that's gonna happen in the future, but you can't control any of that. Not you think you're making progress because you're thinking about it so much. You're using so much energy on how you're gonna solve all these problems, but you've made no progress at all. You're still sitting here, not recording any podcasts, and that's a way of like procrastinating. You know, it's like perfectionism. It's just procrastination hiding in disguise. Something like that was the quote.
Perfectionism is procrastination in disguise.
Something like that. So basically, you're trying to be a perfectionist, but you're just oh my
Okay,
god,
English.
it's falling apart. It's over. So you're trying to do everything perfectly, but all you're doing is just procrastinating because you're just you're just mentally masturbating yourself the whole time because you're not actually getting anywhere. You know, you think you're getting somewhere. 28 minutes. You think you're getting somewhere, but you're not getting nowhere. Just like my speech right here and my and my point. It's getting nowhere. I'm just repeating myself. Mentally masturbating myself. Okay.
That was pretty funny,
it's
man.
time
That was
for
pretty funny.
bed.
Bro, what's the time? 6:55. Come on.
I'm tired. Like, what's good?
Fair enough. You're just not built for this life, man. Or maybe it's the Red Bull I took earlier.
Come on, so let's go. 3 hours.
Okay, right. Let's go. Right. But yeah, so essentially, the mind map was very important for me when I talked to my cousin, and he helped me do some actionable steps. I also I did one module on perfectionism, and then he sent me a second one to do, which I meant to do. But like essentially, where am I going with all of this? I put too much pressure on myself. I crumbled, and I've crumbled many times before. But the most important thing, and a bit of a context or motivation for anyone out there, we're both young people, all right? We're putting these pressures on ourselves. So you should also put some pressure on yourself at least. If you don't know what the hell you want to do, it's okay. It's fine, all right? Like, we're all gonna be in such a position. But I do urge you to do something small, even if it's reading a couple of books, because you get ideas from reading books. Books! I heard this interesting thing. Books are literally people's lives, experiences, everything into like 300 pages. So why are you not reading like people's lives, man?
I got two things on books. I'll keep it quick.
Yeah.
When you read a book, you're reading someone else's thoughts. It's like a chance. It's like a chance to hop into someone else's brain. That's how they feel about the world. That's their view of the world when you read their words that they write. What was the other thing? Oh yes. So when you read books, someone described it as like upgrading your software on a computer. And he was like, what did the guy say? He was like, you need to upgrade your software, and all you fucking motherfuckers are still on Windows 95. It's like, because that's what it is. Every time I read a book, it levels up, it upgrades the way I see the world and my mindset. And that's the way you got to look at it. You know, you're not just reading for the buzz of reading, but you're literally changing the way you see the world. And if you've seen the world in the exact same way for the past 3 years or 10 years, you're just stagnant. You know, I never thought I could change my view on the world and how I see the world or how I operate in the world, but it's changing every couple months, which is unreal, which gives me this buzz. I'm like, where the fuck am I going to end up? You know? So like if you have not changed or found that you were wrong about something or have learned something or just see the world in completely different way. I'm trying, bro. I could have done with that cup of coffee. But again, I'm not trying to drink caffeine too late in the evening because of my sleep. This optimal bullshit. But yeah, you got to be shifting your brain. You know, got to be changing your mindset. That's one thing Joe Rogan preaches is constantly learning, constantly admitting when he's wrong. So many things I've learned in the past while that I've been wrong about that I love going back and like admitting or apologizing to people. It's so important, like, you know.
Fully, bro. Nah, but what's called? Yeah, so essentially, that was that whole conversation, right? And I feel like switching it up. Basically your ideal life, right? So I'm currently reading this book called The 4-Hour Workweek, and it is by the author Tim Ferriss. I'm surprised I remember his name. I'm glad. I read like 200 freaking pages in like 2 days total. Like no, like even less than like half a day. If you combine all the hours, I read half a book in that quick, and I'm currently just continuing to build up on it. And basically what the book is, it's about like how to achieve, like to join the new rich, the NR, the new rich. And the new rich, they travel as, like, doesn't have to be traveling, but they're free to do whatever they want with their time. They have some sort of side business that they're working on. Passive income, but it's automated. So they started up at first. They have to kind of do everything at first, but then they get personal assistants. They hire them. So he hired personal assistants, let's say in like South America or like India or something like that, for like a few dollars an hour. And they literally, you can tell them, do for me these emails and get this for me. So you free up your time on that end, right? So that's less time for you to focus on that. You can tell them to contact these people or get information on you, information for your, so
English,
bro. So they get information for you. So take for example, you're a podcaster. You can tell, let's say your assistant in India is called Shanice, right? So you tell Shanice, hey, look, yeah, she's fine, man. So you tell Shanice, hey, look, I'm making a podcast episode on this. Can you please read these sites and get me some good information about this certain points? I'm gonna send it over to you. Yes. Yeah. Outsourcing their work. So what you do is you outsource the work. You find ways that it can keep on doing. It's like working on itself. If you have a business and it's selling to customers, instead of the customers directly contacting you, they contact the manufacturer or whatever it is, so that you are barely in the equation. All you have to do is look at it 1 or 2 days per week, and you could be making like 10 grand a month. 20. It doesn't matter as long as you have an automation.
Low side at that scale,
that's low, man.
10 grand is like where 10 grand. I hope to see myself making 10 grand a month in 2 years. 2 years, realistically. 10K a month. That's where I see myself in 2 years with this online coaching. It's easily doable. 100%. Once you start getting results, you can scale it up. Like 10K is like you see it all over YouTube, like how to make 10K a month. It's not a whole lot. After taxes, you're making about 6. So like it isn't a whole lot. You know, it's a good like it's financial freedom, but it's not fucking big stuff. So it seems like a lot. It's 100K a year. That's a doctor's wage, but that's so achievable online money the way it is. And that's the beautiful thing about not to be taking advantage of poor companies, but you could have someone in India or somewhere over Far East that can do your work for you, and you're still paying them a really good wage for their country. So it's not about it's not slave labor, but they're still making good money because that country's so cheap to live in. The money that you pay them from the West, it's very cheap for you, but it's also a good wage for them. So you'll see a lot of people doing like social media marketing agencies and stuff. You're good. I'm good. They'll outsource they'll outsource a lot of their work basically to far over that side of the thing, but they're still, it's like I said, they're paying them a good wage, but they're also making a lot more money than if they were to pay someone in America, for example. And I've got a question for you, Leon, the host. As a young man, right? As a young man who's trying to be,
I'm 20 next year, not to interrupt.
20.
That's crazy.
Nice. as a young man who's about to be 20 years old, right? What do you think is the best thing people should spend their money on if they're trying to be successful and they're trying to like level up their game or whatever it is they're trying to achieve? What is the one thing? Well, not one thing, but what is the best thing to spend your money on when you're trying to be successful? Because I've got the answer that I learned from someone. I'm just curious.
Okay. The best thing, if you want to become successful or something like that. Well, first thing I'd say,
To achieve.
so spend money. So
What's the best way to spend your money to become a high achiever and to achieve a lot of stuff?
Okay.
As a young man.
Okay.
As anyone.
Okay. So first thing I would definitely say is you don't need money for this first step. And the first step is to change your understanding of what success, money are.
Love that.
How do you change that? You need to understand that money is an illusion. It's very cliche of me to say, oh, you watch all these gurus online and everything. No. But you need to change your perception of money. When you wake up every day or when you do things every day, you're using money to get something that you need. So therefore, you're exchanging money for something that you need. So you shouldn't really be complaining if you're paying 10 euro for food and the closest, and you're going to pay somewhere cheap. Like, if you don't have like enough money and you're complaining about the 10, don't fucking complain, man. You're going to get something to eat and you'll be fine. Right? Change your perception of money. Understand that to attract a lot of money to attract a lot of money, you need to become a person of value. What does a person of value do? They solve problems. I say this all the time, and it's very simple. They solve problems, right? Solve a problem in your industry or find what you like. See how can you be able to, so for example, me, I like to talk about real conversations like this or just analyze life in general. I like talking about this type of stuff. I know there's people who like talking about this type of stuff. So I'm creating a community or place where people can come and listen to valuable information so they themselves can become people of value. That's one part. So understanding that if you become valuable, money will be attracted to you. Money is attracted to ideas. Money is attracted to people who make more money because they understand the principle of money. The second thing, success. Success doesn't necessarily have to be like fucking private jets and everything. Yes, it is a part of success, yeah. Success can be you being happy with how you think, how you move, how you talk, how you walk. It can be how you interact with people on a daily basis. It can be how you carry yourself and how people perceive you as well. It doesn't mean make a fake appearance of yourself, but you can make an idealized version of yourself, what you think you look like in the future. Grab parts of that version of you and try to start consciously working on that person now, so that by the time you're getting there, you already have those attributes done in you. At first, it may seem a bit abnormal, especially to your like daily friends and everything like that. They may think, bro, this guy's trying to act all blah 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 blah. But essentially, you're trying to mirror what it will be like when you are that older age. So redefining what success and money is one of the steps. The next thing you should spend money on is books that align with what you are really interested in and what you'd like to go into. So like an industry, whether it's business or whether it's like, I don't know, a job. Buy books that resonate with what you like to do or what you wouldn't mind learning about. Once you do that, you then learn, I guess, whether you like this or not, whether you'd be into that or not. Once you have that idea, simple as now spending money on the things that will make that passion or that purpose of yours go. And then from there, bro, the fucking world is your limit, my man. And just applying this, like, I read this story from the 4 Hour Work Week, and it was about this American businessman, like a made-up story. But this businessman who was stressed from his work and everything like that, so he went to a small town in Mexico by the beach and everything, right? And he saw this fisherman one day swimming like, you know, fishing and everything, right? Yeah, nice. So he goes up to him and he asks, how many fish did you catch today? And the fisherman says, oh, I caught enough for my family and a few to give out to my friends. And then he's like, so then what do you do the rest of your time? Well, I spend time with my kids. I spend time with my family, with my wife. We go for dancing and everything like that. And then I go to the pub or wherever they go to drink, to have a few drinks and and sing along with his friends. And then the businessman stops and says, but you know, you could fish more. You could then sell more fish, make more money, buy a fleet of boats, and then from a fleet of boats, you outsource to go to Mexico. After being in Mexico, you then make a business, you expand that business. This is a businessman from America. You expand that business, and then you go to Los Angeles, you make another fishing company there, make more money, then go to New York, make more money, expand even more, become rich, then sell your company as an initial public offering. Because every time, so I didn't explain it properly. So the fisherman was, so the businessman was like, you could sell more fish, buy a fleet of boats, and then you could be making a lot of money in your village. And then the fisherman's like, then what, sir? You then go to Mexico and build a bigger business, and then expand more, and all this that comes with that. And then the fisherman's like, then what, sir? And then you go to Los Angeles, and then you make more money. You become bigger. You outsource. You're doing bits over in Los Angeles. And then what, sir? And and then you go back to New York. I was laughing when I was reading this. And then you go to New York, and then you sell your business.
What book is this?
It's the 4 Hour Work Week that I'm reading. And then you sell your company at an initial public offering, an IPO, and you become rich and have millions. And then what, senor? You go to a city in Mexico, you come back to a small town in Mexico. You fish, you give to your friends and family, you spend time with your kids, you go dance with your wife, and then you go have some drinks with your friends and sing. And then he stopped because you realized his life is backwards. So essentially, it's like life, fam. Find what makes you happy. Like, have some way of making money to live, fine. But then also definitely, one thing I'm being more inclined to do now, and I can't wait to go to Kenya, bro. I'm going to be going to the beach again for longer this time. All right? And do things that will make you happy. Be able to spend time with people that you love, but also have income to be able to support these things, man. You know what I mean? Like, so success shouldn't necessarily be private jets and cars. Those are very nice things. Definitely wouldn't say no if someone was to offer to me, if I was able to buy it. But that's not what it's all about, man.
Shouldn't be your main value.
It shouldn't be your main value.
Yeah.
That story made me pissed.
Yeah, it's so good. Because at what point, like, what is the point of being successful? It's to gain happiness. What people end up doing is sacrificing happiness for success. So I'll say that again. The point that people want to be successful is to achieve what I talked about earlier, this end goal of happiness. But what they end up doing is sacrificing happiness for that success. You could have someone who, along this path, to be successful, to be happy, ends up getting into some dodgy deals, ends up in prison along the way. The whole time he was trying to get this life for himself, for his happiness, and now he's in prison, he's locked up. So like, you gotta align your core values. For me personally, it's working out my fears, becoming a really good, like, stoic man, that ideal man who's doesn't fear anything, looks after the people he cares about, constantly learning, constantly honest with myself. I always thought of that, like, what's the ideal man? I know what it is, I know the characteristics, but sometimes I struggle to voice it. But it's not financial. I'm sick of having money problems. That's why there's the appeal to become financially successful, because if you can get rid of your money problems, that's unbelievable. But you're still going to have more problems, but they're better problems to worry about. Like, I hate looking at my bank balance and having to calculate 20s and 30 euros, like, it's horrible. I hate it. It's constantly sitting in the back of my head. Have I got enough money for this? I'm planning ahead. But as soon as the money leaves my account, I don't even think about it. But when it's in my account, it drives me insane, because I've got so little of it and I'm trying to do so much. It takes up a lot of mental focus. So that's my motivation to become successful. But it's not that's going to be my metric for happiness. My metric for happiness is going to be doing things, new experiences, new people, exploring different parts of the world, different cultures, and constantly leveling myself up and being the ideal person I can be, that's caring, loving, has all these good characteristics. And to touch back on what I asked you about, what would you spend your money on as a young person? Yeah, to achieve stuff and to smartly sort of invest your money. I love what you went off about and talked about, like, defining success and defining money, which is great, because that is a big shift. It's massive. And one of the things I thought I agree was the reading. So, like, knowledge is a massive thing. Like, you're being encouraged to, like, save up. But, like, if you're making minimum wage and you're saving, what are you saving for? You need to be investing your money, especially as a young person, investing your money into courses, into mentors, into things that are going to stack up your knowledge. Because when you stack up your knowledge, like you said, you then learn to solve problems. And when you solve problems, that's when you start making money. Because someone's got a problem, you've got the skill set to solve their problem. They give you money, the financial agreement. Yeah? So, knowledge and educating yourself. And then the other one, which nobody talks about, right? And in that I got off a YouTube video is time. So what we talked about, outsourcing. So like we said, right, if you're seen to have someone who has a personal chef, the common generation of people in their 40s and 50s who were brought up with a different mindset from the past, that's such a waste of money. Why not cook your own food? You know, you're wasting money having a personal chef. You could save so much money if you just cooked for yourself, right? But what can you have lots of money? Sorry, I'll say that again. You can have lots of money, but you can't have lots of time. You can't increase your time on this earth. Okay? What you can do is increase how you spend that time. So, for example, I'll use an example here. Let me try and think of one. Trying to think back to how to describe it in the video. So it takes me an hour and a half to make food, and I was running a successful business, okay, and that hour and a half could be used to make money. So if I could use that hour and a half to do some editing or to talk with clients or to sign a new client, whatever, yes. You're telling me that hour and a half would be not much better spent if I could outsource someone else to make my food. So it gets to a point where you have to value yourself as an hourly rate. So let's say you're making €15 an hour now, whatever it is, triple that. So your hourly rate now is $50 or €50 an hour. That's what your hourly rate is. And in order for you to use your time, it has to be worth that value of money. So if I can outsource something, let's say if I can spend €50 or less. So if I can spend €40 on a meal prep company or something that's going to give me back that hour. So basically, you exchange time for money. So if I can spend €40 to get an hour, do you get what I'm saying? Yeah, think about that. Yeah. So all right, yeah. I'm trying to figure this out. So it's only 12 hours in the day, whatever. If you want that hour to be making more money to be successful, you got to find a way that you can get that hour back from your routine. So basically, exchanging money for the hour or for the time. So you set your hourly rate as €50, and then whatever you pay under that is a good investment.
I see what you mean now.
Yeah, anything over that, you're spending more money than you can actually make in that hour. A billionaire, think about it. This makes sense. Okay, so a billionaire's time is worth so much money. Think how much money you'd have to spend to sit down with Bill Gates, for him to take an hour out of his day to talk to your dumb ass. All right. Think how much money you'd have to spend because his time is valuable.
That's like how much, bro?
Yeah.
It's like I think it was like what? I think it's like $500K for Snoop Dogg to come to your birthday party, man.
Oh yeah. You actually know the numbers. For me, it was a rhetorical question. But like you said, yeah, $500K for Snoop Dogg. That's how much, because Snoop Dogg's time is so valuable because he can make so much money because of his name and how much his brand operates with and who he is as a person, that his hour is so worth so much money. So as soon as you can start outsourcing the work that you normally would do to use your time more valuably, that's one of the best investments as a young man who's trying to invest and level up his game. So video editing, that's why people get video editors, because video editing takes so much time. And if you're the main face of like the podcast, you don't have time to be video editing when you could be recording more podcasts, having more guests on, pumping out more content. So you outsource someone else to do it. So no one thinks about that switch, that like you should actually spend more money to get back more time. That is if you're a busy person. If you're someone who just sits on his ass all day, your time isn't worth shit. You know, that's why people say I'm bored. I can't imagine. I used to say that shit. I'm bored. I don't know what to do. That's beyond insanity to me now. I can't get enough time in my day. There's no time I'm sitting on the bed. I'm bored. I don't know what to do. I don't have enough hours in the day. I'm flat. Yeah, but I have to watch Netflix now to wind down. But I mean to say, like, people will literally lie and be bored. They'll be watching Netflix and they're bored, or they don't know what to do.
I don't understand that part.
Yeah, because that's what I mean.
Wait. Don't understand it anymore.
Exactly. You used to be like that.
Once you hit this level of thinking and moving, bro, there's no going back.
And that's what it is. It's a mindset shift. And that's what we talked about, like constantly changing your mind. Yeah. Because like, how can you, if you've got big things in your mind, big dreams, big goals, you've got no time to be bored because you wake up and you know what the fuck you're doing. Yeah. So there's two different people. There's the person who's bored, and there's the person who's going to spend €100 on meal prep so he can get an extra 2 hours back in his day. That's the kind of people. There's a difference in life.
On this side,
yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, that's not ego based either. But like, you've got one life in this world. Yeah, you're alive once, okay? And like I talked about before, I was talking before we actually hopped on the podcast. When you say it like this, if you're lucky, you've got 80 summers, 80 winters, 80 autumns, 80 springs. 80. Not 80 years. A year seems like a long time, but you can only experience the summer 80 times. When something, you can only experience something 80 times, it seems a lot smaller, does it not? It seems like a lot shorter. And as soon as you can start really pondering on the fact that you're going to die and you're, what's the word? I don't know. I can't think of any fancy word for death. What is the fancy word? I don't know. No. Not offing, no. Oh, I don't know. Whatever. I heard it yesterday. The fact, as soon as you can imagine, you know that you're going to die, and you can't, your immortality. Immortality, that's the word. You can ponder on your immortality every day and really realize that then all these little bullshit decisions you make throughout the day, you worry about what you're going to wear, what this person's going to think about you if you stand out from the crowd. It's all, who cares? No one's going to remember when you're dead. No one's going to care, you know? So yeah, it's, yeah. You know,
like, even, like, transitioning onto this, man. I love, right, I may sound like a creep for talking about this, right? But I love the fact that we're one day going to die. It's going to be painful if people who are close to you die. 100%.
And it's actually one thing that we're all going to experience together in this world is loss, grieving. You might not experience the same trauma, but everyone in this life is going to have someone close to them that dies. I find that crazy. Everyone's going to experience the same thing, loss. You know, the person close to you right now is not going to be there anymore.
I sometimes cry about that, man. Like, dead serious. Like, once every while, I just think I'm like,
forget about it. You think we're all gonna live forever because like you get so caught up in your daily routine.
Yeah.
But it's not all gonna be here forever. As soon as you can start really remembering that, that's when you start to live.
Yeah. And like, there's a book in the Bible called Ecclesiastes, man. It was written by the richest man in the world. Well, one of the richest guy in the world ever. Yeah, at the time, King Solomon. And basically, in his book, it's like, so there was one part where it was saying, the race is not to the swift, something not to the intelligent. Flip me, man, bro. Pardon my forgetting of these things.
Think what that quote is, 'cause I got one. It's like every man has two lives, and the second one begins when he realizes he only has one. That's a nice quote. So every man has got two lives, and the second life begins when he realizes it only has one. So when you really remember that you're going to die someday and that you got to make the most of it. I've heard a lot of people talk about that. It's all right. It's a waterproof keyboard. I've heard a lot of people talk about that. Like, true hell is when you're on your deathbed and you see the man you could have become and you didn't become that person. You know, I think being on your deathbed and having regrets is like grim. It's not what you want. And a lot of people actually talked about this. They said on their deathbed, nobody regretted what they had done. They only regretted what they didn't do. So you're not going to regret the time you met up with that girl and you bottled it and she ghosted you, or you made a fool of yourself in front of a crowd of people. What you're going to regret is the fact that you didn't take the opportunity to go and do those things or to challenge yourself. So instead of regretting the fact that you were rejected by the girl, you'd regret the fact that you didn't even try and get the girl. So who are you pointing at? So yeah, regret, man. I don't want to be on my deathbed regretting shit. So I'm going after it for the rest of my life. I'm just grabbing it by the balls and I'm fucking just squeezing the juice out of life, man.
And like, bro, this guy is sus as hell, man. He sent me a weird Instagram reel, man, where there's like this little thing like shaking his bum at the end. It was like, thank you, I appreciate it. I was smiling at that. I was like, what was it? I opened the fridge.
I opened the fridge up for a snack, but you weren't there or something. And then it's like this fucking sponge, this triangle, or this fucking blob thing from like SpongeBob SquarePants, whatever the fuck, Patrick looking motherfucker. He's there twerking his ass. This is out of context completely. I sent it to like 10 people. So I was like, did that like put a smile on my face? I'm like, hopefully put a smile on their face.
Nice, man. That's a bit of gratitude right there. Oh yeah. So the book was Ecclesiastes 9:11, and why are you laughing? So basically, it was. So I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to the men of understanding, nor favor of nor favor to men of skill, but time and chance happen to them all.
Say that again.
Oh, flip.
Say that one more time. Why are you kicking out of it?
No, because that's a different. It's like a different one. It's harder to read. So NIV, the Bible NIV, New International Version, Ecclesiastes 9:11. I have seen something else under the sun. The race is not to the swift or the battle to the strong, nor does food come to the wise or wealth to the brilliant or favor to the learned, but time and chance happen to them all. So if you have the understanding that time and chance happen to all of us, everybody uses the time differently. Like here, so the race is not to the swift, but it's the people who train hard and eat properly and everything like that. They're the ones that end up being the best, so they're known as the swift. They races to them. Like, no. Right, so the battle to the strong, they train every day, they fight hard. Like, let's say back in the day, the warriors, they fight hard, they do everything in their power they can to like become strong. So the battle is to them because they prepared. The wise, they read books and everything like that, so they know how to get around in life and shit like that. The food goes to them. The wealth to the brilliant, it doesn't go to the brilliant. Jeff Bezos, who's another billionaire? Mark Zuckerberg, all these guys, they came up with ideas that were revolutionary. Is it revolutionary or something like that? That revolutionized the way that we live our lives every single day. We use Facebook, we use Amazon. They served a need that was greater, combining with the fact that technology was going to become such a big thing. So they capitalized on that, and now look where they are. They're billionaires. Time and chance happened to all these people, and preparation favors the prepared. What am I saying with this, man? There's a part in this like Bible where he's talking about death. All right, you know what? Talk. Let me just fucking find this Bible.
All right, talk. So, dwelling on that, like you only have one life. That term YOLO, right? It gets interpreted by two different kinds of people. So there's one person who hears YOLO and they think, oh, well, I'm going to die. I could die tomorrow. So I might as well just go out there and get fucked up drunk and live every day like it's my last in a way that's just going to pleasure me like fuck every day. Like every day is just going to be pleasures upon pleasures upon pleasures because I might die tomorrow. So I might as well enjoy every minute of it. The way the other person sees it is I'm only going to live once. So I better give myself the best chance, or I better work towards being the best person I can possibly be because I might die tomorrow. And I feel like I would much rather die tomorrow knowing the fact that I gave it my all in trying to conquer my dreams, and that if I'm gonna die tomorrow, that I didn't just spend my last day on earth just pleasuring the fuck out of myself because it was the easier option. Do you get what I'm saying? Or were you listening? Alright, that's okay, you were focusing. I was saying the term YOLO got passed around so much. And I think people hear that and they think, oh, I just have to go crazy for my last day. I could die tomorrow. I might as well just go crazy, take a load of drugs, do all this crazy stuff, just pleasure myself. But then there's another kind of person who sees it as, I'm going to die. I could die tomorrow. So I better put all my effort into being the best version of myself I can be and chase my dreams. There's two different ways of looking at it. Do you know what I mean? And I'd much rather, if I was going to die tomorrow, know that while I'm dying, that I gave it my all to achieve the stuff I wanted to achieve. I might not have achieved the stuff because that happens over time and I couldn't have rushed the process, but I gave it my all each day. I tried my hardest and I didn't take the easy route because it was comfortable and it was easy. Whereas other people might just think I'm going to die, so I might as well just live it up and pleasure and they live every day like that, thinking in that mentality, but it doesn't get you anywhere, and it doesn't. Yeah, I'm just rambling now. You stop rambling. This is one thing we gotta do, right? I think we gotta like come at each other with like questions and conversation more than speeches. I think when the camera's on us, it's a speech.
That's natural.
I know, but when the camera's on, it's a microphone in your hand. It's like I gotta speak some prophetic shit right here. I gotta say the next best thing that anyone's ever heard. This thing has gotta be a clip. I gotta make a clip out of this. This has gotta be beautiful.
Bro, there's a camera right
I
there.
know, right? That's what I'm saying. It's so hard though, because like it's such a different style of speaking. You're not actually just having a conversation.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing with the holding and the passing. I think if we get a setup where we've got a mic each, it's on a boom arm, it's just sitting underneath you, and we're just like on a desk. When there's a desk in front of you, you're not looking at the camera. We had like a camera on me, a camera on you, to the point that we can edit it up so they're switching back and forth. But it's just me and you. I know you were talking about you wanted to do this whole thing like a show. Yeah.
No, I'm definitely I'm gonna look into that.
So you gotta. Yeah. See, right now you just spoke a whole lot of shit, and that's probably not gonna get picked up at all. So that's what makes it an unartificial.
I'm gonna look into my finances and shit, and then hopefully I can get a thing.
No, speak, because I'm. So. I'm saying lean forward so we both can talk. So what I'm saying is, right, when you do that, when you have one mic, you pass it back and forth. It becomes like a presentation, a show. It's like a show, or like you're speaking to the camera, opposed to when we've got a mic each. The mic is only there so it picks up our voices better on the camera and the video, but we're looking each other dead in the eye. We're sitting across each other from a desk, right? And we're both just interacting with each other. It's not a speech. You'll hear it when. Do you know what I mean? And that's the difference between like an audio podcast when you're speaking. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So you got. I think you got to decide which one works for you. You can try them both out, but it's very different. It's a very completely different mindset in the way you speak. The way I'm speaking to you right now isn't really how I would speak to you out there. Yeah, and that's what I think for me, if I was going to do my own podcast, I'd be more gravitating towards a conversation with someone where the camera is just picking up the conversation opposed to us speaking to the camera, if that makes sense. Because I feel like for me, when I get this mic in my hand, I start looking at the camera, it's like I have to speak some really profound stuff, and I have to give a speech, and it has to be educational, it has to be knowledge, I can't just ramble, or like, you know. Yeah. Exactly. So I'm not doing either of those things because I think I prefer would just have like a conversation with someone because it's a lot more natural, and I feel like I'd enjoy that more essentially.
Let's just disregard everything he said. No. But so I found what I was talking about, right? So it's about like death or whatever, right? So death or whatever. I don't think this relates to death, but it's something anyways, man. This is your daily word, bro. So, like, you know, wisdom. No. Do not say, why were the old days better than these? For it is not wise to ask such questions. Wisdom, like an inheritance, is a good thing and benefits those who see the sun. Wisdom is a shelter, as money is a shelter. But the advantage of knowledge is this. Wisdom preserves those who have it. Think about that.
Yeah.
That's deep as fuck.
My brain, my primitive ass smoking weed for the past 8 years brain like can't comprehend stuff unless I read it 10 times. I'd have to read that passage like 10 times for that to sink in. Sometimes, yeah. Read the book, read the Bible. That's a separate book.
Not even on religious like stuff, like not even on a religious note, bro.
Let's go.
It's the fact that read that. Anyone out there, read the book of Ecclesiastes, bro. There's so much. Oh yeah, okay. There's so much to genuinely learn about life. This guy had riches, splendor, everything. Like, it's imagined that King Solomon, screw all this talking really well stuff right now. It's imagined that King Solomon was actually sat in a really nice balcony with gold all over him and beautiful gardens and slaves working for him and everything like that. Like, he was imagined to be in the most prestigious place possible. And he wrote such a depressing thing about life. But within what he talked about, what he wrote about in the Book of Solomon, bro, just read it online or something, man. There's so much to think about, and it really questions the way you're looking at things. He says the pursuit of money, the pursuit of things is meaningless. It is meaningless. The pursuit of all these things is pointless because there is nothing new under the sun. Everything that is happening now has happened before. It may not be the exact same way, but it's all happened before in some shape or form. Read that book, man. I'm telling you, you'll actually...
What's your take on this? I heard something crazy the other day. Is like, you're a thirsty boy.
Thanks. Super Valley sponsors.
All 55 cents.
You serious?
Yeah.
I barely make any money off this thing. What do you think? Could we make money off this? So we're sponsored.
Could we make money off that?
And the show's here.
Well, it's like
they.
You know, yeah, but it's no, because like a sponsor is like they pay you a cut, so you advertise their product. So they'd have to sell a fucking load of bottles of water to make it worth giving us any money. What are we talking about? We're sponsored by Super Value. Yeah, manifestation. Speaking of manifestation, right? A few years ago, I always wanted a little setup like this. And I wanted it to be, I always imagined myself having like a cool setup and I'd be working from it. Like it'd be productivity. I'd be working on a business or something, right? But I always got the setup and it was for gaming. So when I got the setup, it was always gaming orientated or whatever.
With
And
Doritos in the hand.
yeah, no, not that bad. Jeez, that's disgusting. Cheeto fingers. But now, it was only the other day, right? And I didn't have this in the front of my brain, but it was always like this kind of goal I wanted. The other day I was doing it, so I started like training clients online with this online coaching. So it's my side hustle at the moment. I'm making money online by working with people. You know, that is an online business in a way. And I was only here with my 3 monitors open. I had like the app open there to like talk to them. I had Google Sheets open here, and I had like the software I used to track their progress there. I was like, oh my God, this is what I wanted like 5 years ago. But it wasn't a goal that I constantly worked on, but it just manifested here. I didn't even realize it. Do you know what I mean? Like I always wanted like a triple monitor setup, and I wanted to be working online. And along the way, I constantly got switched from one goal to the next goal. My purpose changed, relationships, pleasures in life. It was never like I woke up and this was my only focus. But now, like 5 years later, I was just sitting here. It's like, oh, this is what I wanted a few years ago, and now I'm doing it.
There's a term for this.
Manifestation, no?
I personally don't choose to do manifestation because I look. Oh yeah, so I personally don't look at things as manifestation because I believe in God, so I see it as like demonic, right? That's just my own.
Oh really? Okay, but it was subconscious. It wasn't conscious manifestation. It's like my internal systems and like what I really deep down kind of wanted a few years ago, which was a goal of mine, just kind of came about.
I figured it out. The reason why these things are, it's like they're gravitating towards you because the way you're thinking and the way you're moving as you've grown over the 5 years, it's aligning with what you would want. So you wanted this 5 years ago, right? Something like this 5 years ago.
I envisaged it. I thought like that'd be cool as fuck. You know, I always thought but it was always for show. This is the funny thing, right? I'd always like get stuff. I'd pimp out my setup and make it look like I'm being productive. You know? Yeah. It's like I'll take a photo. It looks, oh, I'm a businessman. Right.
Bro,
yeah.
The stocks.
Yeah.
The charts.
Google Images, a random graph. Yeah. Big boss, fucking fake gold watch there. You know, it's all for show, right? Because that's what you want to want. You want to be doing that kind of stuff.
You're putting yourself in that. You're putting yourself. I know what it is. It's like compounding. The compounding effect. Okay. You're actually, if you have goals and dreams like this, right? You're actually meant to put yourself in places you don't deserve to be in yet. You should try. Like this thing, bro. I'm not going to say the price. But I got it. I don't deserve this yet. Or whatever it is I have, I don't deserve it yet. But I know one day I will be deserving of it. So I got it. So I can see what it's like. Go to things or places that you don't deserve to be in yet. Go to talk to people who you don't deserve to talk to or be around yet. Right? Just even if you're not able to do it.
Yeah.
Do things you do not deserve yet. And you will eventually deserve it, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you're saying. It's like put your... Okay. You
gotta say
Do you know why I'm laughing? It's because like we know what we're trying to say, but it's like, how the fuck do I say this? And this was the beauty of like I'm not gonna look at the fucking camera anymore. This is the beauty of like this self-improvement is like trying to figure out life. It's like this figuring out stuff all the time, right? It's like if you put yourself in the situation, you naturally will become the situation. If you put yourself in a group of millionaires, you'll naturally become a millionaire because that's who you surround yourself with. That's your vibe.
Yes.
And like you were saying, you buy something, you'll be deserving of it. And I was kind of curious, like, what you mean by deserving? Like,
when I say deserving,
you've earned it. You've developed yourself enough that you are in. You've. Do you ever see that video?
Wait.
Do you ever see that video? No.
You just said are you actually serious? Did you actually do that?
Yeah, no, by accident. No. There's a video of this little kid and he's trying to speak. He's like, you wish you could have had. Like, anyways. But yeah, like you just. But yeah, so. I don't even care anymore. I don't care how I come across. I needed a good laugh like this, right? So basically, if you put yourself in situations, yeah. Yeah, there's another take to that though. It's like
Okay.
you bought that bracelet. It's kind of expensive. We won't discuss the price, but you shouldn't actually buy something unless you can buy it 3 times over. You can't afford something unless you can buy it 3 times over. If you can't, yeah, so you could afford it, in a way. Yeah, so it's like if you're gonna buy if you're gonna buy a Lamborghini, and the Lamborghini costs 350 grand, but you have 400 grand to your name, you can't afford the Lamborghini. You can theoretically because you can buy it, but you can't afford it because you only 50 grand then for insurance, everything else, your life. So if you're looking at buying an Apple MacBook Pro, costs about 2 grand. Yeah. If you can't buy it 3 times, this is what the theory is, you can't really afford it. But at the same time, we talked about investing your money as you're a young person. And I said, look, if you're going to fucking spend money on a laptop, think of the value. That's how I look at stuff now. What value does that bring to me? My dad is always all about getting a good deal. Getting something that's a budget, you know. Oh, this is on sale. Let's get this. You know, I'm saving money. That's that old mentality. Which, oh my God, it's coming clear now. The epiphanies, boom. The guy in the video was talking about when you buy time. No one thinks about it that way because everything that's being taught in schools right now is the older generation. It's a new way of thinking. It's a new mindset, right? So my dad's way of thinking. It wasn't that deep, bro. Relax.
No, it's about the school system, bro.
Yeah, a school system. Yeah, but my dad's way of thinking is saving money. It's like if you save money, it's going to give you more money to do the other stuff you want to do. Not really at all, because he saves money but he buys shit, and then he has to buy the same product 3 times because it constantly breaks, or it doesn't serve the same purpose, so he ends up having to fix it, or I don't want to shit on my dad here, but he'll build something and he'll do it himself because it's cheaper to do himself than hire a professional and save up more money to do it. But now there's a leak in the window, for example. There's a leak somewhere, which now is another problem he's added to his list that he's going to have to go back and fix. Why am I speaking so goddamn fast? Slow it down. So if you spend the money outright, you save the money up and you spend the money on the more expensive item or the better job, it's going to last you longer. It's going to save your problems. That problem is dealt with. It's done. It's just common sense.
I thought I was the only one, man.
No, but it's a lot of people see it in different ways. You know, there's tons of people like what I'm describing, and there's also tons of people that also just love a good deal because it's cheap, you know. Right. But through my experience, when I bought cheap shit, if I bought a cheap laptop, which I was trying to talk about, fucking hell, I'd be going on one. No, just slow it down. It's so hard. Come on, so let's go.
What did he say?
It's so hard to yeah. Is this thing still on? I think I'm speaking slow, but I'm not at all. Anyways, the computer. I wanted to use that for video editing. Actually, I got it to do a bit of gaming on, whatever. I've used slow laptops in the past, and the stress and it pissing me off when I go to click on Google here.
It takes you 10 seconds to come on.
Yeah, it clicks on. Right, and that would take 10 seconds. That is 10 seconds I don't have for every click. I don't have the patience. So I'll end up spending the more money. Drop $1,500 on the laptop because I know it's going to give me peace of mind in the future. Whereas some people will be like, oh, but you're just starting off in life. You just get yourself a €500 laptop.
Bro, get out of here.
Yeah, but the stress that's going to cause me later on, it doesn't equate. There's a fine line between that, you know. Like I dropped $2,000 on snowboard gear.
Where are you snowboarding here?
Right, I went and did a ski season, but I did a ski season before, and I used like rental gear, and I was going to do another ski season. Like, you know what, this time I'm gonna buy some gear, and then I just bought all the best shit you could buy. Spent $350 on snowboard boots, like $1,000 on snowboards themselves.
Jeez,
got like €200 goggles, €200 jacket. Like all this stuff is so extravagant that if I had budget stuff, it would make no fucking difference. It's not like the laptop in this situation, but still, I want to get the best of the best. So in some ways, it serves me to get good stuff, and in some ways it's kind of ego like, oh, I can't settle for anything less, you know. So there's a fine line.
That's very wise. The way you've looked at that is very it's very nice, you know. I have to say it's very nice, very good, very nice. Nah, fully. And like about the way not old people think, but like the old systems or the old beliefs of like, I guess, our parents and shit, right? So it's like even in the education system. So I have a friend who's like who they know themselves, right? So they're well off, right? And their parents own one business in Ireland that's like they have different franchises in like different countries. Why am I speaking really? Different franchises in different counties in Ireland. And I got to have a conversation with him once, and he was telling me like with the dad, and he was telling me, you don't even really need college. And I was like, oh, you're telling an African you don't need college. Are you good, my friend? No.
In Africa, it's like you have to go to college.
Yeah, man, bro. Education is like the pinnacle of everything.
What is education? Education is you reading a book or doing an online course.
Let me tell you this, right? I'm glad my mom understands. A lot of African parents don't understand that there's different ways to be able to make a living in today's world. And essentially, every time I go see my family or whatever, one of the questions that I'm always asked, or that we're always asked as cousins and shit, is what course are you studying in college? What job do you want to have? They're all accustomed to this. There's nothing wrong with going to college. There's nothing wrong with having a job, but that's what they're accustomed to. And if you drop out or you do something totally different, they're gonna be like, you're a failure, man. What are you at, man? You know what I mean? They can be supportive, but like you'll feel the judgment from their eyes, man, or the way they reply to, oh really? Oh, you're dropping out. Okay, what do you plan to do? Okay, oh, I wish you the best of luck. Nah. So you're always told like,
We've seen an African put on an African accent.
No, that's not.
He's got a Boyle accent.
That's not an African accent, bro.
It is.
I don't have a Boyle accent. What are you saying? This is not a Boyle accent.
Well, it's fucking Irish, whatever, bro.
Bro, okay, we'll let you slide this time. Don't know where that came from. But basically, like, he was
That was racist. I can't say that. Didn't say that.
Are you saying all black
Edit
people
it
have
out.
guns, man?
Edit it.
Nah, it's calm. But like, so you're saying like a lot of the stuff that you taught in college is actually from like years and years and years ago. It wouldn't really be able to apply too much to what is going on now. The book, yeah, outdated. And the books that I'm reading, the book that I'm reading for my marketing exam tomorrow, I'm not gonna say the date because I don't know when I'm gonna upload this, but the book that I'm reading, whatever, I have a marketing exam tomorrow. And the book that I'm reading, was written in like 1999 or like 2003. We're in 2023. Yeah?
That's 24 years old. That shit's outdated.
And I'm reading that right now. So some of the stuff, there's principles that are always going to be universal, right? But a lot of the stuff we learn in college, man, I'm like, bro, like, how is this helping the current business environment? I'm looking at businesses right now, or like whenever I read or listen to stuff, or like whatever I do in my own spare time, I don't even know. Like, the stuff that we're learning in college, I'm like, fam, we can really push this further. Some of the stuff we're doing now, we don't need a whole 8 weeks to do.
It's constantly changing. Like, even with AI now, it's like people think they've figured out with technology, but AI is coming into the place that's going to completely change everything.
Exactly.
So it's constantly changing. You can't be it. You have to go with the times. Like,
I need to meet up with the college owner or something like that, man. Or the boss or the president or the president, and be like, genuinely, like, I can't, like, we can't genuinely tell them we need to change this, right? Because it's always going to be like that. That's because they run it and they're being, I guess, like, they have to report someone hard. There's not an issue with that, but I feel with some of the stuff that we're being taught about, there should be extra classes.
Controlled, though. That's the thing. Like, if everyone was encouraged to be an entrepreneur and have financial freedom and taught stoicism and how to be a better person, all this kind of stuff, everyone's independent. And like the top people who make the most money in the world, conspiracy talk here, they don't want people to be independent. It's a lot easier for everyone to go to college. It's like formation. Everyone just follow in line, go to school, go to college, get a job that we've laid out for you, and do that job for the rest of your life. Even though when you're 45 you might have a midlife crisis, hate your life, and you hate your job, but you don't realize it, and you think that if you drop out and you quit your job and you look for a different career, that you're failing, because it's not encouraged at 50 to have a complete career change. It's considered as a midlife crisis. It is. But you could be literally hating your life because you're doing the same shit that wasn't even for you. Like the 20-year-old you who decided to enter into this field of this job, it's completely different to the 50-year-old now who's like your mum, who's experienced so much more in life. That's 30 years of life. You've raised kids, you've done this, you've got a completely different look on life. So why do you think you have to be fixed on this path or this career that you chose when you're 20? And then all their family be like, oh, dad's just having a midlife crisis, you know. Oh, poor dad. Dad starts riding a motorbike or something because he's craving this buzz, you know. So yeah, fuck the school system. Fuck college. Drop out, quit.
Hey, nah, look, I'm not with him on that one. I value education.
It gives you discipline. When you're young, it gives you discipline.
Definitely.
If you like a reckless fucker, it puts you in line, you know, and you can learn a lot.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, I fully agree with you on that one. Like, the genuine. I just feel like the education can definitely change in a way that's like, I guess, more like creates people. But I, you know,
It will be.
yeah, you think
It
so?
will be getting changed because like this is just Ireland. You know, the college systems in somewhere else in the world can be completely revolutionized, and it depends what market you're in. Like, fuck, fair enough, you're reading a book from '99. There might be some very good principles. Like, I'm reading a book there called How to Win Friends and Influence People. You read it? Yeah, that book was wrote in like 1930. It's old as fuck.
1950, no?
Either way, old as fuck. Okay, super old. Yeah, but a lot of the principles that stand with it are timeless, and I think that there's a difference between business and psychology and human interaction. Like the anxiety that someone felt in the 1700s is probably the exact same feeling we feel today. The problems are completely different, but the feeling is the same. So human feelings stayed the same. They haven't changed, evolved over how many years, you know? But business and the world has completely changed. So that needs to be taught in a new way. But you can still, like, all the principles of like psychology and how your brain works and how you interact with people, that stuff's the same from like Marcus Aurelius back in the day in the Roman Emperor times as it is now. You know, we still think the same, we still feel the same emotions, we still feel love the same, still feel hate, jealousy. Those haven't changed at all. We're still very primitive the way we were, but the world we live in with technology, that's completely changed. You know?
Yeah. You know, even just talking about the whole business and technological environmental stuff, right? You know Stephen Bartlett, the Diary CEO?
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to this podcast at all.
You haven't listened to this podcast, man?
It's been on my list.
Man, you're missing out. Listen to some guy called Mo Godat. Talks about happiness, not about money. He's a guest, yeah. And basically, so I'm currently in charge of another podcast, CIE podcast. So I'm gonna be the leader, and I'm working with a team of people, and we're gonna hopefully start recording in June, huh? Yeah, it is. Yeah. It scared me.
You don't have to check that. You just have to check here, right?
Usually, yeah, but you see, sometimes it can say full storage or some shit like that. Yeah, we're good, man. 1 hour and 22 minutes. It's class. So.
Get a new record.
Yeah, so basically I decided, you know what, man, I'm always saying I'm going to be reading about people's lives, like all these successful people's lives and stuff, and then actually never do anything. So I said yesterday I'm going to read about his life, and so I read into his life a bit. He was a millionaire by the time he was 23, and he left that business that he started at age 27. It got reached, its valuation was around $600 million. 27? But at 27, yeah. But he was part of it going to that, but he left before it got to 600 million. There was a big controversy of him saying he's not actually the business guru that he tends to portray himself to be, but he's also the youngest person to ever be on Dragon's Den in the UK, and the only black person to ever been a dragon in the Dragon's Den. And he did what? Yeah, he was only in this year, or last year.
Black person, to be honest.
The only young black person ever.
Nowadays, young. Certainly, there's been black people on Dragon's Den.
I don't think so. I don't know. From what I read, I think I could be wrong, but he's like the youngest and the only black person.
I feel like Dragon's Den will go out of their way to make them look like they're not racist, and they'd even find someone with a fake business just to do it. That's the way the world's gone. Like.
Yeah, but he, like, regardless of him being that, like, it was genuinely inspirational, man. And basically, so his life story, his mom was from Botswana, and his dad was from the UK, and his dad was an engineer, and his dad was very, very smart. His mom finished school at 7. She didn't get to finish school, so she couldn't read and write. So they went over to the UK. I forget what part of the UK they went to. But basically, he dropped out of college after the first lecture he went to in business management. He dropped out after the first lecture, if what I read was right. Literally. And his mom was not very happy, considering she placed a big importance on education. So he went against the norms of his mother and what you expected to do. And he made his business, apparently, or from what I've read, in his room. Just like this, he made his business in his room, and then linked up or joined his marketing company with some accounting company. I don't know, some other company, some lady. They joined together, put the things together, acquired different companies, made it worth $300 million or something like that. And then they kept on doing that. And then he's left and doing his own thing now. And he now has the #1 most successful podcast in all of Europe, business entrepreneurship podcast. And he has guests on like Gary Vee. He had.
This is the Diary CEO.
This isn't Diary CEO. Gary Vee.
Well, that's not him though.
Yes, it is.
That's him.
Stephen Bartlett.
That's the host.
That's the host.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He's the owner, and He's also had, who was it? Louis Capaldi on it. He's had so many big people, billionaires and everything on it. And the thing he's found out from these conversations he's had is that they're all very similar. All these high achieving, successful people are very similar people. They have all had something happen to them when they're younger that caused them to have this drive to be able to become successful and be able to be safe and everything. Yeah. They all have impulse control. They're all able to communicate their needs very effectively. They've all seen a problem that they can solve, and they went into that industry with the dog mentality, and they're here now. And I was observing that, and I was like, man, this guy by 23, motherfucker, I'm 19.
Yeah,
it's like, bro,
is that not inspiring though? Because when I see the same traits in myself as super successful people, that gives me such hope and such a buzz. Because I'm not there yet. I'm still fucking making just about minimum wage, but the fact that I've got those traits and I've got that hunger, it's like, fuck, this is where it starts, you know. If I just keep on this path, just keep going, be consistent. You talked about it there, something from their childhood, and in impulse control, right? That's a stress so strange, because literally all the people who are like achieve big things all seem to have had a fucked up childhood. Yeah. Because it comes from a place of deep insecurity that they'll never be enough. So I heard Alex Hormozy. Do you know who that guy is? I don't know who he is. Get on him as well. Alex Hormozy, yeah, he's big on. He's like a multi-millionaire, a couple $100 million to his net worth. And he's done loads of podcasts and YouTube stuff at the moment. Really good at business. Alex Hormozy. He's got like a big. He looks like a bit of a redneck, and he's jacked, but he's worth a couple $100 million, and he runs like these businesses. No, it's funny how we both have like these guys that are in the exact same sphere and they're super famous, but neither of us have listened to them. Like my main podcast at the moment is Modern Wisdom. He's a guy from England. You don't know him, no? Chris Williamson. Yeah. Sorry, he was actually on the Diary of the CEO recently. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was on Diary of the CEO recently, and I always heard the podcast. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Get on that. Yeah, I'm gonna download it. But I always meant to listen to Diary of the CEO. But it's funny because that's all I watch is like that kind of space, and I'm still hearing people that I don't know. And you are interested in that space, and I'm telling you someone, and you don't know them either. See, I don't know who that is. I was gonna say something though before I fucking forget. Right. So, yes, impulse control, a really desirable trait.
Anyway, so right, we've had so much real talk, man. It's been an absolutely crazy episode. But yeah, honestly, there's not really much to be said apart from this. Miko, what are your thoughts and reflections on the conversation we had today? I mean, you're just telling me something just there about the socializing part.
I was just saying that I've not socialized properly in a while because I've been focusing on my grind or head down, working hard. So getting back talking was kind of difficult, and like my ability just to speak normal sentences and like get my thoughts to my mouth and interact with you was a lot more difficult than it was the last time. I felt a lot more like drifting off and stuff like that, but it was good. It was good to get stuff out and chat. Yeah, it was a good time, man. Good time.
Yeah, I'm glad we came through. We had a great time, bro. An hour and a half of content. That is crazy. Obviously, as usual, the camera cut out at the end. We are too damn good at this. Honestly, you should definitely subscribe. You should definitely follow our socials, which will be down in the link. And you still comment what you thought, what you felt. If there's anything that you feel you could add to our conversation, please feel free. It is a free space. Just let us know whatever you felt. And honestly, we're gonna make this a 2-part thing. So if you're here, you're probably watching the second part, go back and watch the first part if you have not already. And we're gonna leave it right there. And we're about to leave the real world because we've just talked.
Real talk.
That's the one. We'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good rest of your day, week, and month. Stay productive as fuck. All right. We'll see you next time.
I hope you don't think I've lost my mind. I hope you don't think I'm crazy. This message is getting long, so I should just say bye. But the idea of you listening to this, the thought of you on the other side of the line, I can't hang up. I don't want this to end. Not again. I don't know if you miss me too. I mean, I haven't heard from you, but I hope you do. I'll always love you. Even if things never go back to what we were, what I became so used to, what I thought would be forever. Just us two.